So on a whim this weekend I decided to paint this little Christmas bear, and I must have been feeling unusually organised because I also recorded it, which normally I don't do if I'm just painting spontaneously. We put the Christmas decorations up a couple of weekends ago now, and this is one of my favourites. It's a really old decoration and it's been in the family for a little while, and I just think it's adorable. And for some reason I just really wanted to paint it. I wasn't planning on doing any painting this weekend, but I saw it and I thought it would make a nice painting, so here we are with this bonus video. I actually thought that last week's video would be the last video of 2023 because that kind of makes sense. It's full of all of my goals for the year. So I talked about the goals I've been working on in 2023 and the new goals that I'm setting for myself in 2024. So if you haven't seen that already, that is available to watch if you want to check that out. And I kind of thought that wrapped things up pretty nicely, so that would be a good way to end things till January. But here we are with this spur of the moment time lapse of this little bear painting. Usually at this time of year I am starting to wind things down a little bit and have a tiny bit of a break before we get back into the new year and all of the new goals that I set for myself. Normally the run up to Christmas is my busiest time as an artist, and this year I've been fortunate enough to have plenty of commissions to work on, so I have been pretty busy working on pet portraits. I actually sent off my last 2 pet portraits on Saturday, so I am enjoying that feeling of being finished with my current workload and ready to take a break. I do try and give myself some time off at this time of year for a few different reasons. I do celebrate at this time of year, so it's nice just to spend time with family over the holidays and unwind a little bit. It's also a good opportunity to recuperate a little bit after that run of commissions, which can be a little bit stressful. It's definitely enjoyable. I love working on them, but when you're working to tight deadlines and you want to make sure everything runs smoothly and everybody gets their commissions before Christmas and they're all happy and everything's posted out, it can be pretty time consuming and demanding, so I think taking a break after that is good just to unwind a little bit and reset, ready to go again in January. If you watched last week's video, you will have seen that I've planned quite a few things for the new year and I've set myself quite a few goals, which I am very excited about. I'm looking forward to those new challenges and I have lots of ideas. One thing I do know is that next year is going to be hard work, enjoyable but hard work, so that's another reason I want to prioritize taking a break now. As much enthusiasm as I have for next year and all the things I want to do, I know it's important to rest a little before I start that rather than jumping right into it, because that is definitely going to lead to burnout and that is not how I want to start the new year. There's actually quite a few other projects that I could potentially be working on now before I take that break rather than painting this tiny little Christmas bear. Currently I have an unfinished landscape where I have painted the sky and some trees, and it's just been sat there like that for well over a month now, and I'm doing my best to ignore it every time I walk past it. I have another project which is a long-term thing and that's going to take quite a while to do, but I could have been working on that. I have an unfinished rose painting, an unfinished sunrise painting. I could even have been getting a head start on the work that I want to do next year. But this painting wasn't really about that. This was just me feeling a bit creative and wanting to do some kind of painting before I set my paints aside and I take a little bit of a break. And doing any one of those other projects would definitely have been more work related and a bit more stressful. It wouldn't have felt like I was truly unwinding, and none of those projects would have been very simple to complete. I was just sitting around on Sunday morning thinking about what I was going to do for the day, and I really wanted to paint something. I knew I had a limited amount of creativity, like I definitely didn't have enough to tackle that landscape painting, but I wanted to paint something. I wanted to paint something I could finish in a day, something small, something fun, something just for me, with no obligation to put it up for sale or do it as a commission or even record it. Deciding to record it was a last minute thing, and I only did it because it didn't really interfere that much with the painting this time. But the only reason I really wanted to paint this bear is because I had the inspiration to paint it. There aren't that many times where I actually sit down to paint something that I want to paint, you know, just spur of the moment kind of thing. If I'm feeling particularly creative and I decide to get my paints out and I sit down to paint the thing that I really want to paint, I have a nagging voice at the back of my head saying, well, if you're gonna paint, you might as well do something a bit more productive and useful. Maybe you should work on this commission, or maybe you should work on this piece that you want to showcase or you want to sell. Maybe you should finish this, or maybe you should do that. And in the end, I usually end up ignoring what I wanted to do and doing something a bit more practical. And I don't like doing that all the time. I think it's nice to paint on a whim sometimes and just paint the thing that comes into your head and just enjoy yourself and paint for the sake of painting rather than feeling like it's got to be for a specific purpose. This painting reminded me of when I used to paint as a hobby rather than as a career, and I would just paint whenever I felt like it, and I'd paint the first thing that came into my mind, and there was no external pressure to paint a specific subject or in a specific style. I just did what I wanted to do this time, and it was really reminiscent of it being a hobby, and it was really, really lovely. I know I've set myself some specific goals for next year, and one of those includes painting more original pieces with the intention of selling them. I really want to take this business and this career to the next level next year, and so I am going to be spending a lot of time working on pieces that are a bit more detailed and take a little bit more time, and there is going to be that underlying thing that they are paintings to hopefully be sold rather than paintings I'm just doing for fun. And I definitely do intend to do that, so this isn't a complete change from last week's goal. That goal still stands and it's still very important, but I think what this little painting has shown me is it's also important to have a little bit of balance. And although next year will definitely be hard work and it will be hopefully quite productive and there'll be lots of paintings produced, I also need to take some time every now and then to just do a painting that I want to do for the fun of it, because it makes me smile rather than feeling like it needs to turn into a super polished end product for sale. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and seeing this painting come together. It's a little bit of just some random musings in the background. I think because this was a spontaneous video, I didn't really have a specific subject to cover, but I thought it was a nice way of rounding off the year. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all of your support this year. I know I kind of covered that in last week's video, so I'm not going to go over the top with that here. But I have recently had quite a few new subscribers. I've just got over the 500 mark, which is really exciting considering last week's video I was still about 488, and I was really pleased with that. So this has been lovely. It's a really nice way to end the year. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and I hope you have a great 2024, and I will be back with another video presumably next year, unless I decide to paint something on a whim again. So until then, I'll see you next time.